It's back to our Judges study today. We come to Judges chapter 19. And this section is perhaps one of the most disturbing and gruesome of all of the stories that are told through Judges. And that's saying something because there are a lot of disturbing things throughout the book of Judges. As we come to Judges 19 in verse 1, we're reminded again there's no king. And so there's no one other than God for them to go to if there's a problem. And for some reason, they seem reluctant to be going to God. They're worshiping idols and everything else instead. But as we come into verse 1, we find a certain Levite was sojourning in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim. And he took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. And now a concubine, for lack of a better explanation, is kind of a wife who's not got all of the full benefits of a wife. She's expected to be doing whatever he tells her to do, and certainly there's a sexual relationship there, but she doesn't enjoy all the benefits that a wife would have, and her children may not necessarily inherit the goods like a child of a wife would. But this man, who's a Levite, has taken a concubine, and she has been unfaithful to him. She's run off. She left him, and she went back to her father's house in Bethlehem. And she was there for about 4 months. So her husband went to get her back. And he was going to speak kindly to her and convince her to come back to him. So it's interesting. He's not seemingly to be a mean husband or anything. He's going to talk kindly to her to try to bring her back. But it's an awkward situation probably for a lot of young women who were put into this situation. She may not have been, he may have had other women in the house, and it could have been very troubling. She may have been quite young and not been ready for what all was involved with being married and things of that nature as well. We don't know why she ran away, but she went back home to her father, and he comes back to get her. And he brought a servant and a couple of donkeys with him. And then she brought him into her father's house. She invited him in. And when the girl's father saw him, he was certainly glad and came with some joy to come meet him. He was afraid, of course, that things would be bad because his daughter had run away probably. And so here he comes to get her, and things look like they may be working out okay. So the girl's father-in-law, his father-in-law, made him stay, and he remained with him for 3 days. They ate, they drank, they stayed there overnight for these 3 nights, these 3 days and nights. And on the 4th day, they got up early in the morning, and they got ready to go. But the girl's father said, stay, get some strength, eat a good breakfast, get some strength with a morsel of bread, and then after that you can go. So the two of them said, and they ate and they drank together. And then the girl's father says to him, when he got up to get ready to go, stay one more night. Let your heart be merry. Spend another night. And his father-in-law just pressed him, so he stayed there again another night. The 5th day, he got up early in the morning to leave, and the girl's father did the same thing. Oh, stay, eat something, and then wait till the day declines a little bit, he says. So they ate, and then when the man and his concubine and his servant got up to leave, the girl's father again says, "Oh, look, it's getting toward evening. You don't want to be traveling at night and all these things. So just spend the night. The day's getting close to the end, and lodge here, and then tomorrow you can get up early and go." So this just seems to be a pattern here. He's basically just not wanting them to leave, and he's maybe not wanting to lose his daughter as well because they live far away from where he is. But for whatever reason, he keeps trying to talk the man into staying another day. Well, this time he won't be persuaded. This Levite takes his wife and his servant. He says, "Well, no, we're gonna go." And so he departed, and he came over opposite what is called Jebus, which winds up later is going to be Jerusalem. He's near Jerusalem, the city where Jerusalem is. And he had a couple of saddled donkeys. He had his concubine with him. He had the servant, of course. And when they got near to Jebus, now Jebus at this time was not a city of Israel. It was still controlled by the Jebusites. Jebus, Jebusite. You can see the connection there. And so it's close to time for finding a place to spend the night. And they're close to this city. And he sees that and that they're getting close to that. And the servant says, "Hey, why don't we turn into this city and we'll stay with the Jebusites tonight?" His master said, "Oh, no, 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 no. We're not going to stay in a city of foreigners. These aren't the people of God. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go a little further on and we'll go to Gibeah." Gibeah was a city that belonged to the Israelites. And so he's saying, I'm not going to stay with these heathen folks, not going to stay with these strangers, but I'm going to stay with kinfolks, going to stay with people like me. And so they go. He said, "Come on, let's go near to one of the places and spend the night at Gibeah or maybe at Ramah, which is another city of the Israelites." So they passed on, they went on their way, and finally when the sun is gone down on them, they were near Gibeah, which belonged to Benjamin, and so they turned aside and they go in and they're going to spend the night at Gibeah. And they go in, and it was it's kind of like camping. They didn't have hotels and things like that. So basically, they would just weather was good. They would just sleep out in the open. They went to the open city square in the middle of town, and no one invited them into their house to stay. So they were just going to set up camp basically in maybe like the city park. They're gonna right there around the fountain in the middle of town or whatever. They're just gonna set up camp there. They're just gonna sleep there for the night, and so they're getting ready for that to spend the night. And we'll get on to the more disturbing part in our next lesson. But we see this guy's attitude is the children of Israel. They're God's people. It's better to be near them. That's what he's thinking. And of course, we'll find out just how badly that backfires in the next lesson. But I hope that you enjoy this part, and then tomorrow's part, may not be very enjoyable at all. But hope that you'll continue to be learning and understanding some things from these lessons.